Okay, it's on. We'll now call the Garden Grove Housing Authority regular meeting. Madam Clerk, could you please take row?
Commissioner Beckles,
Here.
Commissioner Dalton,
Here.
Commissioner Jones,
Here.
Commissioner O'Connor,
Here.
Vice Chair Broadwater,
Here.
Chair Wynn.
Here. Welcome back, everyone. I hope everyone had a nice Easter Sunday. We now go to Part 1, Oral Communications. Do we have any oral communications?
No cards.
No cards. We'll go to Item 2, Consent Items.
Madam Chair, it's recommended that both of these items be acted on simultaneously unless a separate discussion is requested.
Do you have a motion?
Move the issues. Second.
Call for the vote.
Motion received, 6 yes votes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have no public hearing on calendar, no items for consideration. Any matters from Commissioners and Director? Hearing none, I will call for the adjournment of the Housing Authority. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, May 24th at 6:30 p.m.
Next month. And it's going so fast.
Call the Garden Grove City Council meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Councilmember Broadwater,
Here.
Councilmember Wynn,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Jones,
Here.
Mayor Dalton.
Here. Okay, we'll have the invocation by Kingsley Okereke and the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Jones.
Dear Lord, we humbly ask that you bless all who are assembled here this evening and the work we seek to do. You have enabled us to serve you and our community, each in our own way. Help us to see each other's service as complementary. Help us to work in harmony tonight as we seek to make the best decisions for our community. Amen.
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 Please face our great flag and say the pledge with me. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I see we have community spotlight presentations.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and I'd like John Clark to make the presentation this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Fatal. This evening, the Garden Grove City Council is pleased to recognize a devoted group of commissioners who've each played a significant role in the progress and development of our city. All of these commissioners are volunteers from the community, appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the City Council. They serve as advisors to the mayor and City Council, make recommendations to improve services and programs, and decide regulatory matters in specific areas. I would like to call forward the retiring commissioners present by order of the commission on which they served and give a brief description of their commission's duties. We would ask that each of you please remain up front after being called so we can take a group photo at the end. Would Linda Rogers, member of the Sanitary District Advisory Board, please come forward? All right. Linda is one of the advisors to the Board of Directors of the Garden Grove Sanitary District, also known as the City Council, on all matters regarding the city's critically important sewer and solid waste management programs. The advisory board was initiated in July of 1997 when the sanitary district was absorbed into the city. The city thanks you, Linda, in absentia, for your dedicated service to the community. Will Brian Wynn from the Traffic Commission please come forward? We'll get one eventually. The Traffic Commission reviews requests for traffic devices, signs, and markings, investigates unsafe traffic conditions, and conducts public hearings on major street projects. It also makes recommendations on transportation planning. The city offers its sincerest appreciation for years of service by Brian Wynn. Will Planning Commissioner Thomas Bonikowski please come forward? We're 0 for 3 so far. The Planning Commission guides the community's growth and development. The commissioners ensure that development proposals meet the city's technical, environmental, and aesthetic standards, and they carefully consider use applications to preserve Garden Grove's excellent living and working environment. The city extends its appreciation to Mr. Bonikowski for his service to the community. Next, will the following members of the Administrative Board of Appeals please come forward? Mike Casada. We got one. Kenneth Lee, and Ronald Pierce. All right, looks like it's Mr. Casada. This board is the final arbiter and interpreter of the city's building codes and ordinances. These board members are all experienced in construction and fire prevention. Their highest priority is keeping the city's many construction projects safe. The city applauds your service and your commitment to the safety of our residents. Will Peter Katz and Bruce Wynn from the Main Street Commission please come forward? The Main Street Commission plans for the continued vitality of Main Street. This includes overseeing the maintenance of Main Street and working to preserve its historic charm, as well as spearheading improvements like the new Main Street Arch. Commissioners are tenants or business owners on Main Street. The city is proud to recognize your dedicated service to Garden Grove's Main Street. Next, I'd like to call forward Yamin Koff, Ricardo Mendoza. All right, 2 for 2. These are our outgoing neighborhood improvement and conservation commissioners. This commission's goal is to improve and preserve neighborhoods through code and zoning enforcement, housing rehabilitation, and street improvements. They also evaluate, rank, and recommend projects for funding by the Federal Community Development Block Grant Program. The city thanks you for your community involvement and leadership. Will Chan Chung and Enzo Silvaggi please come forward? Members of our Parks, Recreation, and Arts Commission. This commission advises the City Council on parks and recreation programs offered by the city. They also review and recommend capital improvement projects for park facilities and develop the general plan's parks and recreation element. The city is proud to recognize your commitment to quality programs for our community's families. And lastly, I'd like to call forward Ella Navarez. Ella, did you come? Our Housing Authority Commission. The Garden Grove Housing Authority is a partnership between the city and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The Housing Authority provides rental assistance to more than 2,300 low-income families in Garden Grove. The Commission oversees the operations of the Housing Authority. And the city thanks you, Ella, for your service with such heartfelt dedication and vision. At this time, the Mayor and City Council would like to present all of the commissioners in attendance with a certificate of appreciation and a small token of our gratitude for their loyalty, dedication, and outstanding service. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and you have our heartfelt thanks.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much for your service for the city, and also any of you that would like to say a few words, please just line up, and we'll be happy to listen to you. And again, we thank you very much for everything you've done for the city.
Yeah.
Get rid of these.
Okay, I'd like to speak. Briefly, I just wanted to thank Andrew Doe, who's not here, and Mayor Dalton for the appointment as commissioner. It was an honor, a pleasure. It was exciting. Anytime anybody wants to give their time and energy for a city like Garden Grove, it's a wonderful experience. If you get a chance to do it, go for it. Anyhow, again, thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Mike.
I want to thank this council and the mayor and the citizens of the city. It's wonderful working with you and seeing all the improvements out there on Main Street. And I just want to quote something from Cesar Chavez that says, the value of education is what you can teach and pass on to others. Service is a community, teaches others to help themselves. And service teaches children how to be responsible and give back to a community. So service ensures the continuity for a new generation to better the lives of others. I'm glad to serve this city and help others. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's an honor to be honored on the same platform as so many people who really have donated so many years and hundreds of hours of their time and their talent to the city. As a resident, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Dalton, for your appointment, and it is a pleasure and an honor to serve the city, and I look forward to doing that in the future. I think it's a wonderful city with a great history and so much potential for the future, and thank you all for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 3B.
Yes. We have a special presentation this evening, if Pilar will come forward.
Hello, everyone. I'm on this side now. I want to break that. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. As you know, I'm Pilar Alcivar-McCoy, and I am currently the president of the California Park and Recreation Society. I'm thrilled to be here this evening representing CPRS, which is the strongest professional organization available to park, recreation, and leisure services professionals in the state of California, with almost 3,300 members statewide. Each year, the California Park and Recreation Society recognizes excellence in agencies that have embodied the core values of our profession. This year, the City of Garden Grove Community Services Department was recognized with an award of excellence in the category of facility design, community centers, and facilities for the Buena Clinton Youth and Family Center. The Award of Excellence recognizes agencies that align with the mission areas of Parks and Recreation. Among those are promoting participation in recreational experiences, strengthening community image and sense of place, strengthening safety and security, promoting health and wellness, fostering human development, and increasing cultural unity. And I can say that the Buena Clinton Youth and Family Center does all of that. This project, as you know, is near and dear to my heart just because I started working on it about 10 years ago. We wrote the grant that was eventually awarded and paid for the facility that you see today. I know what an incredible job the Buena Clinton staff has done over the years. First, out of a small trailer, barely bigger than this space here. They did a lot of programming, worked with a lot of partners in the community, and now they have been able to move into this beautiful facility and branch out and even add more programs for the community in the area. Receiving an award of excellence is really great. It's a wonderful honor. But Garden Grove went one better. Not every year, but many years, a Creating Community Award of Distinction is awarded at the state conference. That award goes to either a program or a facility or both. Some years there aren't any awards because it's only given when a project or a program gets to a level of excellence that is beyond and above. This year, the award went to the Buena Clinton Youth and Family Center as well. The award is given to agencies that are committed to new directions, strategic action planning, and creating new opportunities within the vision of creating community for people, parks, and programs. I want to note, too, that this is actually the second award of distinction the city of Garden Grove has gotten. And I think it's the only city in the state that's actually received two. One was received, and I don't remember how long ago it was, but a few years ago for the True Neighborhood Teens program that's based at the Buena Clinton Center. And this one was for the facility itself. And so that is an amazing distinction, and it makes me really proud to have spent so many years here in Garden Grove and been able to be a part of that facility and that program. And I want to congratulate the council, the city, the staff who did so much to get this project off the ground and make it a reality. And so I would like to present you with this. Hopefully I'll get it over there in one piece. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are.
Still blocking Dina.
Am I still looking?
Okay. Thank you. I don't want to be the one to drop it, so I'll set it over here. Okay, at this time, I'll open our communications for the council, the agency, and the sanitary district. Denise Kleins.
Good evening. I'm immediate past president of the Garden Grove Chamber of Commerce Women's Division, and I thank you for letting us come this evening to give you your own personally engraved silver spoon, which you might ask, why is she giving us a silver spoon? And that is because Sunday, May 22nd, for the 48th consecutive year, the Women's Division will be hosting their annual Silver Spoons Tea. This was started 48 years ago, like I said, and it was a tradition that we started so that we could congratulate and give the accolades necessary and that are very deserved to those people who are volunteering for all the nonprofit organizations in Garden Grove. We know that you have attended in the past, and we appreciate that, but this year we really would like to have you all there to join in the tradition, because in just 2 short years we'll be celebrating our 50th Silver Spoons Tea. We hope you're all around, and we hope you're all around too to be there. But we want to personally invite you to come to help us give the congratulations and the accolades to those top volunteers of all the nonprofit organizations in Garden Grove. It will be Sunday, May 22nd at the Embassy Suites in Garden Grove, and it starts at 2 o'clock. You can tell me right now you want a ticket, or we'll make sure that we'll hold one for you at the door. And anybody else? It's only $22, and we'd love to have you. It's a nice event. You'll have a light bill of fare, and there'll be a lot of fun there, and we hope that you all come. Thank you.
Thank you. It's funny, my wife just asked me yesterday, when's the Silver Spoon? I don't know. We'll do that. We'll do that.
Here, give her another spoon.
Okay. Okay, Marilyn Thompson, Troop 1103.
My name is Marilyn Thompson. I'm the committee chair for Troop 1103, and I'm very honored to be here to thank Mayor Dalton, Councilman Steve Jones, Councilman Nguyen, and Councilman Broadwater. I would like to thank you guys for your continued dedication and support for our annual pushcart derby each year. Without your support, it wouldn't be what it is, and we wouldn't have gone as far as we have. And there is no greater joy that I see than knowing how hard these boys work to paint and decorate their kits, and then having that rare opportunity to race down Springdale Hill. It doesn't get much better than that for me, and I'm sure I speak for my troop and anybody who's in attendance to witness that. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you in the fall when we are approaching and planning on doing our 11th annual pushcart derby. And with that, I would like to thank the council members by presenting them with our 10th annual pushcart derby trophy for them.
Wait, 1 second.
Oops. Oh, I guess, wait a second. Better do this first. Okay. Gotta get the trophy. We gotta get the-
Collection going here.
Alexander Kim. Oh, I'm sorry.
Additional-
I didn't see you. Go ahead.
No problem. Good evening. My name is John Kleinman. I'm the Scoutmaster for Boy Scout Troop 1103 in Garden Grove. I had the pleasure of meeting Mayor Dalton and Councilman Broadwater a couple weeks earlier this month at a ceremony honoring one of our scouts who'd been awarded the rank of Eagle. The fact that you took time out of your busy schedules to congratulate Dylan in person meant a lot to him and to all of us in attendance there. We're extremely fortunate to have individuals in our local government who take an active interest in events at the community level. The reason our troop is in attendance today is to express our thanks for the Garden Grove City Council's involvement in our annual pushcart derby. This was our 10th annual, so it's a real landmark year for us. Despite some rain towards the end of the day, the race was an unqualified success with about 100 Cub Scouts from across the Orange County region participating. I had letters from several young participants saying how much they enjoyed the race, and one racer, even went so far as to say it was the best day ever, which I loved. The event wouldn't have been possible without the approval and cooperation of the City Council, and I'd like to thank all of you personally. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chase Kozak. I am in Troop 1103. I would like to thank the City Council for allowing us to have the pushcart derby. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Zachary Seto from Troop 1103, and I just want to thank you for let us have the pushcart derby, and it was a lot of fun, and I wish you could let us do it next year.
Hi, I'm Justin Thompson. I'm an Eagle Scout of Troop 1103. I've been a part of this event for, I'd say, about 9 years out of the past 10. It's been pretty fun throughout all those years, and you guys have continued to support us through all those years. I would like to thank you for that. The kids have a lot of fun, even though it was kind of raining this year. I know they still had a lot of fun. Some of them were actually commenting on it was better in the rain. I would also like to thank you for coming out and giving us a certificate of your appreciation to us. So thank you for that, and hope to see you next year. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ethan Ross, and I'm from Boy Scout Troop 1103. I want to say thank you to the council for allowing us to hold the pushcart derby. The pushcart derby not only is a benefit for our troop, but it is a great event for all of Scouting. Thank you once again. And Our troop would like to present a certificate of appreciation to the City Council.
Get the rest of the troop back up here, too, for a photo with all of them. Thank you very much. Okay, Alexander Kim.
Good evening, Mayor Dalton and fellow council members and city staff. My name is Alexander Kim. I'm making a formal introduction as the new public affairs manager for the Southern California Gas Company, and I too am a former Cub Scout. And out of the city of Westminster, I forgot what troop I was in, but very good to see so much volunteerism going on in your city. I'm replacing Jennifer Gonzalez, who is covering the more northern regions for the gas company. But I'm happy to be part of this community for many years to come, hopefully. And I am involved with the Garden Grove Community Foundation. Make sure we're supporting that this year, as well as one of the new advisory board members for the Acacia Adult Day Services. So a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to working with all of your staff and your public utility gas needs.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Charles Mitchell.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and staff. Living in Garden Grove has always been a pleasure for me and my wife and our family. There have been so many interesting things going on, and there's more going on every year. Right now, we are celebrating something that has not happened in Garden Grove before. We are having our own film festival, an independent film festival starting tonight and running through Sunday. Now, this will be on Main Street in Garden Grove, and I hope all of you will make plans to come and attend. Take a look at some of these independent films. There'll be bands, there'll be food. It's a chance to celebrate Main Street in Garden Grove and do something exciting. Show the people in Laguna Beach that we can do as well as they can in our own hometown. Thank you.
Thank you. Robin Macario.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, staff, and Garden Grove residents. I'm Robin Marcario. I was pleased to see on the agenda this evening that our city clerk, Kathy Baylor, is going to be, she's the kind of the local expert and has been asked to help out Fountain Valley. I mean, that's certainly indicative of the quality of the staff that we have here. There's, as you're being recognized as a council this evening, a lot of our staff members have also been recognized. I also look forward to hearing more about the appointment process. I'm very grateful to the voters of the city. I was the runner-up. Mr. Doe had received a little over 12,000 votes, and I was fortunate enough to receive 11,000-something votes, and the other candidates received 5,000 thereabouts. So I was the clear third runner-up. It was a pleasure to serve on the Neighborhood Improvement Commission, and I look forward to serving on the Parks and Arts. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for appointing me to that. During my time on the neighborhood improvement, I went ahead and created some mosaics, which are out of tile and glass. As you all know, when you walk precincts, everyone's very concerned about graffiti, and I've seen each and every one of you council members come to the graffiti paint out. You've had, paintbrushes in hand, as I have. And I wanted to just create some public art. So I've created some tile mosaics which you can see along a couple of our bus benches, and they have symbols of Garden Grove and flowers, of course. I affectionately refer to them as our permanent gardens in Garden Grove. And along Magnolia on southbound between Garden Grove Boulevard and Trask, I sort of concentrated on one neighborhood, and you can see 6 different mosaics along that strip. And then in the last few months, I've worked on along Euclid, where we have Palm Vista, which is kind of constantly dealing with graffiti, and I put up palm tree mosaics on either side of that so that we can beautify our city. There are ways to be able to use our creative talents and improve the city. And I look forward to hearing more about the appointment process, and thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you. Tony Flores.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff. My name's Tony Flores. Just to touch on that appointment, I would agree with Robin Macario in that the measure that was passed in 1980, I believe, that the citizens said the next highest vote getter should get the appointment. I would agree with that. If you folks aren't going to go down that road, then we'll revisit that at another time. Speaking of appointments in council, if I should run again for mayor or for council, I would respectfully like to request a copy of the 1997 harassment discrimination study that was done in our police department. I would like that because when I first ran, Mr. Hamblin and Mr. Rosen came at me pretty hard on my record there, and I need to have a copy of that. I believe in that study will show why exactly I left the department or why I was terminated. I believe there's a lot of information in there that would benefit me and people like me that left the department under some curious circumstances. I also believe my position in back pay and pension might be owed to me if I get a copy of that report, and I think the report would probably speak for itself, so I would like to get a copy of it. And if I had to put that in writing under the California Public Records Act or the Federal Freedom of Information Act, I'll be glad to do that. 3, we've been seeing some questions on some mixed-use areas going up to 10 stories in Garden Grove, specifically the 4 corners of Chapman and Valley View, and on Valley View between Lamson and Cerulean, the mixed use, again, going up to 10 stories. Most of the folks that I've talked to in West Garden Grove have a big concern about that, so I'm hoping that doesn't go through. And still on the subject of redevelopment, I had asked a question back in October of 2010 about that Melrose that was going to be used to fund the parking structure for the Water Park Hotel. I don't know if any progress has been made on that, or if there's any questions have been answered about that. I'd certainly like to have some follow-up on that if I could. And also, too, for years and years and years, the people in West Garden Grove have been asking for beautification along Lamson Avenue. We've been pushing for that for quite some time, just like we pushed for a sound wall from 1966 to 2000 when we actually received it. I understand there may be some grants out there coming through, and that we may be getting that done pretty soon, so the association certainly is happy about you folks doing that, but we're going to stay on top of that and work with anybody who's getting that done. Last and final point, thank you, Mr. Dalton, and I believe it's Maria Stipe, I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, over at the city, for taking all the emails and phone calls regarding the Black Hawk helicopters that are coming to the air base. I never took a position one way or the other because, of course, you say you're against it, people think you're anti-military, and if you're for it, people think you're all about the noise. That's not true. I would just gather information and phone calls with the main points being property values, noise, and, of course, the flight patterns. One of the questions that I added to it, though, was the safety record of these helicopters. I never did get a chance to see that. I don't believe it's in the study, but I'm going to be confident, or at least certain, that you folks took care of that and have addressed that. So in any case, we just wanted to thank you for doing that. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Rod Powell? He left? Okay. Peggy Bergen?
Good evening. I had every intention of staying home and watching Dancing with the Stars live. But then I pulled up the agenda for today, and there's an issue, and it's not on a public hearing. It's on a consent item for the redevelopment group, and it has to do with the, what does it exactly say? Replacement housing units for some of these developments along Harbor Boulevard. Now, I remember being at meetings in 2009 where I was really congratulating the city for working so diligently to get some apartment dwellings over off of Morningside and rejuvenating them for low-income housing. I thought, my God, finally they're getting with it, and they're here for basically the citizens of Garden Grove. 101 units from studio apartments, I believe it is, to 3-bedroom apartments. Well, guess what? When I'm reading our agenda and reading the staff reports today, what are those apartments being used for? They are being used for places to move these people when and if these developments come in along. Now, this one is right next to, I would say, Target, there along Harbor, where there's a travel trailer park. I guess there's only one resident left in that. And then there's 5 houses on the street behind that are going to be involved in possible hotel projects, which means there's 6 units of 3 bedrooms each, housing that needed to be replaced to make this project possible by the cities when they move people for a project supposedly for the benefit of the city. Now, we as citizens, when we heard you saying that you're giving us low-income and moderate-income housing for the citizens that are already here and that need that, we didn't realize that you were looking far afield to when you were going to have to be moving people for these hotels that are coming in. And they're not coming in quite as quickly now with this financial downturn. I mean, I know that's not your fault, but we never can plan ahead. There's those old sayings like, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. You know, we're buying property for chickens that may not hatch. And we're buying properties to replace. What happens to the people that are living in those units? I'm assuming you didn't buy up to 100 units and help builders to finance their improvements on these buildings. Now, we don't own them, other people do, but we helped in a financial aspect to help these people get them habitable, redone. But this wasn't for the citizens. This was for your future, I always like to say it, pie-in-the-sky ideas of moving people away. And why, if I'm one of those 5 families living in a 3-bedroom house, I don't care how large the house is and how elegant and what my financial statement is. Why should I be required to move out of that house into an apartment in a group of units where there's enough buildings to have 8 units per building and make 101 residences? That means I'm leaving a private home with a private driveway, a private backyard, to move into a very large apartment complex area. I don't understand all of this financial business about why doesn't anything that you guys do not have an ulterior motive having to do with the recreation industry and nothing to do with the citizens that live in this city day to day. And when you make a dog park, what you do is you don't give us a new park. You take an old park and chisel a little piece out. When you give us a gymnasium, you don't give us a new park. You chisel a little bit more out of a park that's already existing. All you do is rearrange everything so that on paper it sounds like we're getting all this stuff. We're not. We're just rearranging it. When I rearranged the rooms in my bedroom and changed one bedroom into a TV room, I didn't build a TV room, I just changed it. And that's basically what you guys do. But here, this report shows that you guys knew a long time ago that this is what your plans were. Hotels, hotels, hotels.
Thank you. Okay, there's no other cards. So I'll close our communications. Okay, we will go to, we'll recess the council and go to the agency.
Okay, at this time, we'll open the agency. Ms. Baylor, will you please call roll?
Member Dalton?
Here.
Member Jones?
Here.
Vice Chair Wynn?
Here.
Chair Broadwater?
Here. Okay, we have an oral communications and public comments. Any comments from agency members?
No. Okay, let's go to consent items.
Mr. Chairman, you have 3 consent items, and it's recommended that they be acted on simultaneously unless a separate discussion is requested by a member.
Any questions for staff? Entertain a motion.
Move the balance.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Motion received, 4 yes votes.
Okay, let's go to, well, we have public hearings, none. Items for consideration, none. Matters from agency members and director, none. And then we go to adjournment. I would like to comment on a couple of things that Peggy said. I mean, a person that lives in a trailer park, that was meant to be a daily trailer park instead of a yearly trailer park, and they moved to an apartment. I think they're moving upgrade, not downgrade. And I'm amazed that there's only one person left in that park, but sometimes the plan does come together. So that's a good thing, and it cost us a few dollars to relocate that fellow. I have no problems with it. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, I'd like to make one other quick comment to, in response to something Peggy said. I think in some part, you're right what you said. We're not creating new parks. We're putting amenities like the dog park and gyms in existing parks. But that goes back several years ago to a pretty thorough study that staff did and came back and reported on, which basically said it's sized up with complete with aerial renderings and that kind of stuff where all the parks and kind of public open spaces are, including, I think, school facilities in the city, and came to a conclusion that we're not underserved with park space when you look at the acreage of park space relative to number of residents and that stuff in the city. Where we're deficient is we were underserved in amenities and recreational facilities at those parks. So we've been very proactively addressing that. There's a number of accomplishments in the city within just the last several years with senior equipment and skate parks, Dina's idea with skate parks and the gym, the dog park, a lot of neat things popping up. Water splash pads coming up in different places, and a lot of places where we're actually filling in some of that underutilized space in our existing public open space areas with amenities that the residents can use to enhance the park. So I think we're on the right track.
Oh, absolutely. I think that comment is excellent. I mean, you take, it's so easy to sit here and watch the city council meeting and see us vote on things and everything else. It's another thing to get out and be involved. I mean, there's hundreds of kids in our basketball program, and the awards are given, and that the gymnasium we built. And the truth of the matter is, we were playing in church gymnasiums all over the western part of the county. We had some in Westminster and Santa Ana. We brought all that home. And our kids, that place is packed 7 days a week. And if anybody wants to take a look at it, go out. The door's always open. Go in and take a look and see what's going on in there. It's a fantastic program. Mr. Broadwater, may I have it when you're done? Sure.
I think, too, the most recent thing was the Friday Night Lights flag football team that we were very instrumental in working with the people at the Chapman Complex to bring the kids that were going to Los Alamitos that are our kids in our city and didn't have a place here. You know, it's very, very difficult. I mean, everybody talks about parks. If you sat down and tried to figure out what it would take to build a new park, you would most likely have to purchase the land, purchase buildings, purchase everything that is there to make a park. We're kind of stuck with what we have, and there's no use crying over spilt milk. Years and years ago, before any of us were here, most of these parks belong to the school district anyway. They don't even belong to the city. We lease them from the school district. But everything that we do, if you look at everything that you talk about, is an amenity for our kids. It's something for the families and the kids at the park, whether it's a skate spot, whether it's a gymnasium, they have badminton out there. There's everything practically that a child or an adult would want. And I don't think anybody does it better than we do based on what we have to work with.
Add to that. Let's add to that. I mean, we got 2 awards tonight. And how many people have been over to the Buena Clinton area to take a look at that facility over there? It's a fantastic facility. Kids are in there after school every day doing their homework, doing all kinds of things. They have computers over there. That's a fantastic facility. And did we build it on? Did we build that on existing property? Well, the truth of the matter is we tore down an apartment house to put it up.
And I think it's pretty easy to be in here and be very negative about everything, but go out and put your nose in it, take a look at it, see what it really is.
May I, Bruce? Just on a note, Peggy, I'm really flattered that you're here all the time. I don't think you've ever given up this council meeting for anything except for when you're out of town. So you bring it up all the time, but you never give it up for anything else. And over again, you kept bringing up the hotel situation, and over again, Bruce told you that this is the reason why, that the hotels are the reason why we're not in the hole that we would have been in if we didn't have the hotels. It brings in millions and millions of dollars a year for the citizens of Garden Grove. And also, about the park and having structures on the park to cater to the families, I just kind of want to compare that to having a bedroom and not having a bed in it. So if you have a bedroom, you got to have a bed in it. Similarly, I hope I'm not insulting you, but it's basically we have open space, and sometimes the use of those open space include putting structures that would benefit everyone. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we'll adjourn the agency.
Okay, we'll call the sanitary district meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Member Broadwater?
Here.
Member Jones?
Here.
Member Wynn?
Here.
President Dalton?
Here. Okay, first the consent items.
Mr. President, you have two items under consent, and it's recommended that these items be acted on simultaneously.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Member Wynn? I need your vote.
Oh, I didn't.
Motion received, 4 yes votes.
Okay, any matters from board members? Okay, then we'll adjourn the sanitary district meeting till Tuesday, May 24th, 2011 at 6:30 p.m., and we will reconvene the city council and go to consent items.
Mr. Mayor, you have items 6A through 6H, and it's also recommended that these items be acted on simultaneously unless a separate discussion is requested by a member.
6E.
Okay, any others? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Move the rest. Yes. Second.
A motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 4 yes votes.
6E, Mr. Broadwater.
Tell us about 6E.
Councilmember Broadwater, 6E is an agreement with the City of Fountain Valley to provide expert city clerk services. One of the things that Fountain Valley has experienced is that they've had relatively short tenures of their last several city clerks. They're not a large enough organization to have sort of the bench strength to bring people up through the ranks. So their city manager approached our city manager with a pretty straightforward question and said, can you help us out? And in the course of Mrs. Baylor and myself meeting with Fountain Valley officials and going through their needs, we believe that we can provide some assistance to them of a limited nature without any deleterious effects on our own operation. They definitely have the clerical staff to perform the functions, take the filings, that sort of thing. But what they're missing is the expertise. And the woman right in front of me is a world of expertise, and I think she can bring that to Fountain Valley.
And that's not going to take away from her duties here?
No. Fortunately, Fountain Valley is on the opposite schedule. We are there first and third as opposed to second and fourth. Also, their off Fridays are opposite ours. So one of the concerns that Mrs. Baylor had and that I had going in was obviously this couldn't take away from Garden Grove's needs. And it is the belief of all concerned that we can accommodate that. But the agreement is drafted in such a way that it has a 30-day cancellation. And if it's our experience that Garden Grove is being affected in a negative way, I think we will pursue cancellation of that.
Now, did you also get something in the agreement that says they can't steal our employees?
Yes, we did. We structured this in such a way that we did not want Mrs. Baylor to become a City of Fountain Valley part-time employee. This is an agreement between the City of Fountain Valley and the City of Garden Grove, and Mrs. Baylor obviously will be the point person because of her expertise and her service as our city clerk, but we are not pursuing or allowing them to pursue an employment relationship.
Very good. I'll move the issue.
Second.
Yeah, motion second, call for a vote.
Motion received, 4 yes votes.
Okay,
Oh, Mayor.
yes.
Mrs. Baylor, if this gets too much for you, you would let us know, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sounds like you're going to be working a lot of Fridays and evenings more now.
Well, that's one thing I have to say about the city of Garden Grove. We do share with adjoining cities. We recently offered, if Stanton were to consider, and there had been talk of them looking at possibly going to a city police department instead of continuing with the sheriffs, and we offered our services, and they may not do it this year, but they may end up doing it next year. I'm sure that Fountain Valley last year didn't think that they were going to come to us for your services. So being a good neighbors as we are, we're available to help everybody in Orange County. And that's kind of the way Kathy is, too. She's very helpful. She keeps us all in line. Thank you for that, Kathy.
I think another thing that we've done in the past is, I do believe when Westminster's water tank blew up, they were drinking Garden Grove water about 27 minutes later, something like that. It was very quick.
Okay, let's see, we have no public hearings, no items, et cetera, so we'll go for matters. Mr. Broadwater.
Well, are we going to talk about...
Maybe I should mention first and then go from there. That way.
Please.
Okay, as everyone knows, there's a vacancy that's created by Andrew Doe's resignations. My thoughts are to have interested parties submit applications to the city clerk. Sorry to give you more work, Kathy, but we're going to have to do it. So unless the council has other thoughts, I will direct staff to accept applications for the vacancy. Any applications should be submitted as soon as possible. I will also ask staff to agendize the matter for the next council meeting.
Are we voting on this?
No,
we
no,
don't
no.
have to vote on this?
No. No, Mr. Broadwater, go ahead.
Well, I'd like to point out to a lot of people that are really interested in this, that this is not something that councils like to do, because I've had a number of people ask me to appoint them to that position, and I'll tell them they're going to ask more people than just me. But the truth of the matter is, if 10 people ask you to appoint them, 9 people are going to be unhappy with you. And this is not an easy thing. And you've got all kinds of things that are going to be brought up. One thing I'd like to bring up is, personally, I'd rather have an election. But we looked into pricing an election. It would cost us, if we stand alone election, it would cost us somewhere in the neighborhood of $279,000 to $314,000 to do that. So you can count on somebody getting appointed. I just can't see us spending that kind of money. So I really think that I just want to get this over with. And I'm sure there's a number of people that are capable of filling that seat, and very capable people. So if you have a desire to have it, I can tell you this, you won't get it unless you put in one of those applications. So.
Okay, you will, it was very limited conversation tonight because it's not agendized, so if you want to make a brief comment or something, go ahead, but it'll be agendized for the next council meeting, then we can discuss it in detail, in depth.
Is that when we vote for an appointment or an election? So why?
Yeah, either way, it would be next meeting. So tonight was just an invitation for those who submit applications.
Okay, so if I'm opposing to the appointment,
It would be next week.
it would be next week. I'll just make it brief. The reason, well, let's explain the consult, I'm going to be very brief.
Let me just interrupt for a second. Mr. Nixon, I just want to ensure that there's no violation of the Brown Act, or
Well,
how far can we go?
As you know, there's not an item for consideration that's on the agenda this evening, but if there are brief comments that any of the council members would like to make, just in response to the fact of soliciting the applications, that's perfectly appropriate.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
To explain, the consolidated elections, when the governor would put an item onto the November agenda, and then that's when we would get the discounted rate. Is that correct? And that would be about $100,000. And if there's no other issues on the agenda for the November election, and we stand alone, that would be about $200,000.
Well, almost 300.
300,000. Okay, that's what I wanted to let the public know. If I have a choice between appointment and election, I would definitely want the election because that's the people choice, and the people would have a chance and time to study the candidates better, and it would reflect more of the choice of the people. And I hate to bring this up, but our men have died for freedom and democracy. And when we have a chance to invoke those rights, I just don't feel comfortable for us to let it go. If we were afraid of the cost of election, then none of us would have been elected on this council. And the people of Garden Grove deserve to vote for their leaders as well as the rights to compete in an election by the people, for the people, and of the people. I can't bring myself in good conscience to take away those rights. And when the people have spoken their will through a measure that they passed in 1980, and that when they decided the next highest vote getter in the election would get that appointment, if there was to be an appointment. So it clearly shows that the people of Garden Grove would like to choose their own leaders. But my vote may be the sole vote for an election, and I'm prepared to do an appointment if I do not get my motion for an election.
Okay, I think, we can discuss that further in the council meeting 2 weeks from now. Okay, Mr. Broadwater, anything other?
I have nothing else.
Okay, Ms. Nguyen.
I have nothing else.
Mr. Jones?
Just a quick comment, not about that, but just about something else. I didn't realize our own Pilar was president of the California Parks Association, so I'm proud that she's actually doing that. And just congratulations to our entire Community Services Department for all their accomplishments with Buena Clinton in particular, but also just around the whole city. They're a very vibrant, energetic group, and they do a wonderful job at what they do.
Thank you. Is that it? Yep. Okay, then I'll adjourn the meeting until the next regular scheduled meeting, Tuesday, May 10th at 5:30 p.m. in the council chambers.